Hello, welcome along OL Fan TV. We are pleased to welcome you on our YouTube channel. OL Fan TV, we started 3 years ago. We have more and more followers every week. We are very lucky that our favorite team, Olympique Lyonnais, has just got to the top of the league. It had been through troubled times after reaching the semi-finals of the Champions League. The coach, Rudy Garcia, who was much blamed for the bad result, has now the full support of supporters. His contract will be probably extended in June. It's time for us to go further. That is to get in touch with all OL supporters all over the world, especially in English-speaking countries. It will be quite an adventure to exchange opinions across the borders and put forward all sorts of ideas for the benefit of our team. I'm very optimistic and enthusiastic about the project. Thank you in advance for your support. Looking forward to hearing from you. I'm happy to welcome my friends tonight or on the day. I have the pleasure to welcome George from Boston.
Bonjour à tous. Salut. French.
Present yourself, George.
What do you want me to begin? I'm from Boston, near Boston. I've been a supporter since 2010. I've been to Lyon 2 times, one at the Stade de Gerland and one at the Parc OL. I just love the club itself. I love the fan base. It's been fantastic, and they're just a great group of people that you just want to be around. So I'm happy to be here. So thank you very much for having us on the show today.
Yeah, George, we have Liam from England.
Hello, I'm Liam. I'm from Leeds, where you may as know as Leeds United. I've supported OL since I was probably 14, 15, just a casual supporter, but it's got even more and more, and now they're my first team. So it's great to be on the show, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome, Liam. We've got a fan so far away. Sam from Australia. What's up, guys?
Salut, ça va?
Ouais, salut, ça va?
Yeah.
You speak
going
a little bit French.
A little bit, only insults.
Yeah.
None that I can say on here without getting us banned. So.
And present yourself.
Yeah, so I've been an OL supporter for a little while. I'm a OL supporter turned from a FIFA player. So what started out as FIFA has turned into a die-hard fanatic with a problem for OL.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. Nice to meet you, everybody. It's a review of the first part of the season with you guys in English. Some French supporters are very shocked that I can speak English. I try to speak it, I'm not fluent. So if you can speak slowly, but if you understand it short, it's good. Yeah, you'll do your best. The first subject, because it was amazing. It's the final 8. Wow. We reached the semi-final of the Champions League. In the particular final 8 in Lisbon, it was in August. Wow, it was wonderful, very wonderful. But before that, we beat the Juventus at the Groupama Stadium. With Lucas Touza as the goal. What is your feeling, George?
Oh God, I was so nervous during that game. The nerves was overwhelming. I'll admit. Once we went up 1-0, I was like, ooh. I was hoping we'd get something, and we got it, and it felt good knowing that I have a ton of friends here in the U.S. that are Juventus fans, and let's just say, if I put it nicely, they were not too happy about it. So I was definitely on their tails the entire time when we were playing them in the 2 legs.
Yes, it was so wonderful, Liam.
It was I think it was the nerves of having to wait so long, because obviously when we won the first game, we're having to wait, what was it, 6 months?
Yeah, 6 months.
The second leg. So to actually do it in the way we did, going through on away goals after, was it a Memphis penalty or an Ronaldo?
Yeah, Memphis penalty. Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't actually sinking in until we actually blew the final whistle and we were through. But yeah, it were a great night. Yeah, it was good.
It was very good. Yes, Memphis was back after ACL injury.
Yeah, recovery, wasn't it?
Yeah, recovery. He was back on the pitch. He wasn't very good, but he scored a penalty. He failed against the Bayern Munich. What an action! He failed. And Sam, what about you? Your feelings about this final 8, historical final 8?
Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise. I had met a Juventus friend, I think 2 weeks before we played them in the second leg, and I was giving him some grief about us going to beat him, but I never actually believed we were. So when we got whistled for that penalty, and it was penalty pour Luel, I was cheering. So it was it. Yeah, once he sunk the penalty, I thought, oh, we might be in for a run. So I was actually, I don't know, I kind of thought after such a miserable, season so far and everything else, I was like, it would be so Lyon-esque to go through and make something happen. And so I kind of had that in the back of my mind. So I was surprised, but at the same time, I kind of thought it's so us to do this after such a miserable season, to go on and do something in Champions League. So, I didn't expect it, but yeah, it was good.
You say a good word, miserable season. Yeah, it was miserable season.
The best description.
We stopped the league after the pandemic situation.
Yeah.
Not qualified for the Champions League or the
worst decision in my opinion. Knowing, looking back now, that we were right to try to get this continue on, knowing what the situation is now.
I agree with you, but this magical final 8 with a different tactic system.
Yeah.
With the back three.
Yeah.
Rudy Garcia was a genius. Just the back three, and we made all of counter attacks. We got Maxence Cacré and Bruno Guimaraes, who were at the top level.
Yeah.
Marçal.
Champions League hero.
Yeah, Champions League hero, Marçal. At the right, we've got Dubois in our goalkeeper, Anthony Lopez. Was
Maxwell Cornet against
Maxwell Cornet.
Yes.
Maxwell Cornet.
That was the best bit.
The Achilles heel of Manchester City.
Yeah.
Because we speak about Juventus, but after this game, we've got Manchester City.
I think best.
For me, it's the best feeling
I've
had this year, this 2020 year. The best feeling.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
Absolutely.
Well, George.
Absolutely. Because it's just EPL fans like to call us Farmers League, and I think when Kylian Mbappe put that tweet out,
Farmers League,
I was like, it felt good to just get payback after all those months and weeks that they kept ridiculing French teams that they keep stealing their talents from, and yet it was fantastic to see that we beat them. It was good. They still have yet to beat us, but it felt good to know that we beat them to get them out of the Champions League. It just felt good overall.
We beat them with 2 goals of Moussa Dembélé. Liam, about Manchester City.
So my personal situation, I was in Latvia watching the game with my friend Lettonie for French support.
In Lettonie.
Yeah, so we were watching through a dodgy Wi-Fi connection and a laptop, but yeah,
I bet it was still better than Australian Wi-Fi.
But yeah, I don't. It felt like a blur, to be honest with you. I just remember the feeling of Cornet scoring and then the two counter attacks with Musa. It was just, I don't know. It still leaves me speechless now, to be quite honest. I mean, is it Maxwell Cornet the start?
It's our talisman. I think it's an English word, a talisman. It's like against City. Yep. Against City. Yeah. What?
Whenever we play City, you expect a Maxwell Cornet goal.
He scored
it from left back. He scored it as a defender.
But what?
Yeah. The amount of positions he's had throughout his OL career, and now he's a left back and scoring.
And he's never played his actual position, which makes it even more hilarious.
That's the problem.
Essential striker. He's never played it.
But Sam, City, the City opposition.
Sam?
Yep. What was the question? Sorry, I missed it.
Your feeling about City?
Oh, yes. Yeah, it was good for the banter to beat the top of the English Premier League, or the former top
of the Premier League now.
Yeah, they're still around the top. They still count.
I don't know if they are at the moment.
No, at the time though, I think they were still they're always one or two, I think. Yeah. So anyway, it was good, especially that Cornet scored. It would have been disappointing if we had gone and beat them and Cornet hadn't have scored.
True.
I think it would have been like, yeah, we won, but Cornet, he didn't get to score his fourth.
Keep in mind, this team started becoming relevant since 2008. So I always say that their history started 2008 for Manchester City.
Yeah.
So.
It's a bit like PSG. So
yeah, they started 2011. What are we talking about?
It started in 2018, exactly, with Nabil Fekir. With this amazing interview for English TV, when he said, "I keep the ball." And I recoup the ball. Yes. It sounds like that. Awesome. Exactly. It was awesome. Yeah. And
that was good.
After it was a draw, 2-2 in the Groupama Stadium. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have yet to beat us.
And we won away. Yeah, 2-1.
2-1. Yeah.
2-1
because we scored 2 in the first half, I think, and then was it Bernardo Silva scored?
Yeah, Bernardo Silva. Yeah.
Whoa!
It could have been 3-1 if Memphis put it away, but that's just me.
in the final 8.
No. Initially, the first one, last 2018.
At the final 8, we were so lucky. Remember the Sterling failure. Oh, wow! It's not the same. If he scored this goal, wow, it could be totally different. So we have the luck with us.
I think the luck was with us throughout the final 8, to be honest. If anyone had said to you after the end of the season that we'd have made it to the semi-finals of the Champions League, they'd have thought you were lying, let's be honest.
Yeah. I also think it was just the bracket that we're in. I feel like when we play the bigger teams, we shine more. Like when the lights are shining on us brightly, we perform. And I'm glad and not glad that we're on that same bracket as like Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Manchester City, Juventus, Barcelona. Yeah. I felt like if we were in the other bracket, I don't think we would have been as mentally prepared as the other teams, and I don't think we would have done as well probably because we would have had to let our guard down.
Yeah, that said, I've always found we perform pretty well in the Champions League, even against the smaller Champions League teams. Like, I think it was in the group. I think one of our best matches for that season was against Benfica. I think it was 3-1 when we played at home. And I think it was like probably the first time I think Aouar really had his strongest match since his kind of breakout season. And he was just kind of running the show. And that was the first time I saw, I think it was probably, under Rudy that we actually, because I think he was in charge then, where we actually had a cohesive unit and an actual dangerous attack where we were able to create from the midfield and actually score goals and create chances, which was a bit of a surprise. And then obviously we COVID hit, and then we kind of never saw that again. Even in Liga, when Rudy was in charge, we never saw that same level of penetration that we had against Benfica.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I always like us watching us Champions League. I think I used to tweet it out saying, if I could only watch Champions League OL, I'd give up the rest of the league on OL. So.
we are the first French team in the all-time ranking UEFA Champions League clubs.
Top 20.
You saw it.
Yeah.
We're
Top 20,
the first. What if? But we're the first French club in this ranking. So yeah, Olympique Lyonnais and the Champions League is always good.
Yeah,
always good.
Even when we were playing, I think it was in the group with was it Juventus and Sevilla?
Yeah. Yes, when Lacazette was here.
Yeah,
Lacazette, Tolisso.
I think we had a 1-1 draw against. I think it was Juventus. And I thought, we had a fairly. In my opinion, I thought our squad was fairly incomplete. Like we had that core spine of Lacazette, Tolisso, players, Titi, and then around them, I thought they were all kind of bums. So
I think in this game, Lacazette missed a penalty against Buffon.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And I think Tolisso scored, was it off a corner? I think a header off a corner.
Yes. I don't remember exactly.
To make it 1-1. And I think it was it the match where, I think the first match we played, Cuadrado scored off a tight angle.
Yes.
And then I think in the second leg, we drew with them 1-1.
Exactly. Wow. Yes. It was in 2016. It was 2016 after the Euro.
That's right. And I think we got knocked down to Europa League. Was that the same season?
Yeah.
And the famous, the Europa League in 2017. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Incredible.
It was incredible. At the Groupama Stadium, the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Besiktas.
Again, Besiktas. Wow.
Besiktas, yeah.
The fight, the flares, the stadium. Melee, I suppose. The punch up.
And the Besiktas game was terrifying.
Yeah.
Just from the reports that we heard before the match and what happened, what transpired during the match with the fan base. Ooh, that was a hot mess.
Yeah.
There was one game that was a hot mess. It was the one in Lyon.
And after against Ajax Amsterdam. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm still pissed. I'm still pissed about that. I'm still trying to get over that.
We are disappointed. Always now. We're disappointed about the result against Ajax Amsterdam. We can reach the final against United. It was possible.
Yeah.
I think
It would have been
that United team.
It would have been a better final with Lyon playing Manchester United than it was with Ajax versus Man United. Because you could tell from the final that Ajax was just overwhelmed by Manchester United from start to finish. I feel like if we played them, I feel like it would have been a lot closer and it would have been a better game.
Yeah.
Was it the 2-0 game?
Showed that we were.
2-0 game, yeah. Just to focus about Bayern Munich, it was the semi-finals of the plate. Oh,
yeah.
The first minutes were amazing.
Well, we were on top. We were.
Yeah, we were on top.
We had the chances. Didn't Toko have 2 chances?
I think we had 2 or 3 before they scored.
Yeah, and then
Memphis, Toko. I think the 2 chances that we had.
Yeah, and then it was the counter attack, wasn't it? We were on top of them. They had most of the ball, but we were
with Maxence Cacré.
Maxence Cacré the ball back. Yeah. And then I think it just paid its toll in the end, didn't it? Bayern's dominance reigned supreme, and it showed that we weren't the team we were playing like. But again, look at where we are now. So,
but in the Champions League, when you don't score a goal,
that's it. Yeah, we didn't take the chances. Yeah,
you could tell it
would have gone
2-0
up in that game.
Yeah,
you have to score your chances. If not, you're punished.
Wasn't it Kyle Poto Akambi where the
Poto Ekambi, exactly. Poto Ekambi.
Poto Akambi.
But Toko Ekambi creates maximum of chances.
Yeah, especially this season.
Yeah, especially this season. Yeah. Yes, he was very criticized, but he creates chances for the team.
Yeah,
he's not very technical, but
no, I think he's become a bit more technical recently.
A bit more, yeah.
Like, on the ball, he looks a lot better.
He takes 7 touches instead of 10 now.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's an improvement.
Forward.
It's an improvement.
Yeah,
it's an improvement.
Yeah.
I feel like the chemistry between Kadewere and Memphis and Carl Toko Ekambi is just perfect. It was the perfect combination.
Yeah.
And you could tell that they were during the first friendly we had with that 6th division team, I believe, from Switzerland. You could tell that things were working very well with those three together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a theory
12-0 of something.
Yeah.
It was good to see them get some rhythm, I think it was.
Yeah.
But I had a theory of why the front three was working, and I think it's because we now I think the problem with Memphis and Dembele playing with each other was that I think Dembele wasn't willing to relinquish the big man up top role, and I think both of them tried to compete selfishly, and I think it was the same issue. I think when Dembele first started, I found I liked that he was happy to be more reserved when he first started, but then as he started scoring and getting his confidence up and his ego up, I think he grew into the Mariano style striker that we didn't want. And so I think now that we see with Memphis is the clear focal point in the attack in the three, and he's able to be that and take the pressure off of Kadewere and Toko Ekambi. And I think with the hard work and the simple, I guess the humble style of play that Toko Ekambi and Kadewere have suits Memphis, and there's not that many competing, I guess, ego style of players, those flair style of players. I'm not sure what the best word is, but I think, Kadewere and Toko Ekambi are happy to relinquish that role and let Memphis do all the tricky, flashy play, and they just pop up where they need to be. They do their job, and it works. I think the midfield's a bit the same with Aouar. I think he's
the next target. Yes, it's an assist. Sam, you'll give me an assist. OL before the Strasbourg game with the front three. Yes, with the new organization, new tactic. Now it's a 4-3-3.
What was that? Sorry.
Now it's a 4-3-3. The new tactic. The beginning of the season wasn't very good.
No.
Because we were tired about the final mentally. We've got problems with window.
The Mercato.
Yes. Memphis, stay or not.
Aouar. Harassing him.
Denier. Everyone's
to Naples. We were looking for wingers, for real wingers.
Yeah. Losing all the young talent as well. We lost Umar Solé,
Marsal, Raphael, Jeff Adelaide. The problem with Jeff Adelaide.
Yeah.
I still don't understand it.
No, neither do I.
I don't understand where he's coming from that. How can he
do you want him to come back next season or not?
No.
I feel like for me, he would be a problem in the dressing room and would upset the chemistry in their team. I don't want that to happen.
I agree.
I don't think.
I'd rather go back to Nice for 25 mil, break even, and pretend we didn't have him for that year.
My problem with him is that he, for me, is a half player. So what I mean by that is that I don't think he knows what his best position is, and I don't think anyone else does. So I think he's kind of like, he's not exactly an 8, but he's not a 10. He's not a winger, but at the same time, he's not a wide midfielder. it's hard to know. Like you play him as an 8, and then you almost come out of the 90 minutes thinking maybe he's a 10, and then you play him as a 10, and then you come back out thinking maybe he's a winger, and then you play him as a winger, and you think, oh, maybe he's an 8 again, and you never kind of realize what he really is. And I think that's sometimes his issue when we played with him and Aouar, is that they kind of, I think when Aouar's not on, you kind of relying on Rain Adelaide, and if he's not really there, like it's hard to create like kind of complementary midfield.
I think he's one of those sort of players where, because he was at Arsenal, wasn't it, before he moved to Angers, and he'd be moved around in positions. He'd play left wing, right wing, central midfield, central attacking midfield,
polyvalent.
And then, yeah, exactly. So if he came back to Lyon now, I don't really see where he would fit, because obviously Jean-Lucas is going out on loan. We've got 6 first-team central midfielders. I just don't really see.
We are overloaded in the
That's it.
midfield.
Yeah, there's too many bodies for not enough spaces. So
and not enough games to play it.
Well, exactly. With no European football, he's not going to get any game time. So if you can make some money back on him, I think that's the best option.
Yeah, Biplav Gottman said Andersen doing well at Fulham. Yes, Andersen is on loan at Fulham, and is the captain.
I was just going to say, how is he captain when he's on loan? It makes no sense.
What?
It just makes no sense. How are you
really?
captain?
Is he really captain?
He's captain of Fulham, and he's on loan.
Wow.
Think about that. That just makes no sense.
I think
we should maybe make De Chilio captain.
No.
I think the situation of him being captain.
Yes, Liam.
So Fulham never really have had a great core in defence. They've had the American Tim Ream. He's not very good. Lemarchand, I don't know if I've pronounced that right.
Yes,
that's it. Yeah, he's not very
former
good.
Player of Nice.
Yeah, the Nice player. They spent a lot of money on Alfie Mawson from Swansea. He's not very good neither. So when a half-decent defenders come through the door to the existing cohort of defenders they've had, I think it just made sense for a leader at the back to give Anderson the captaincy. And to be fair to him, he's done a good job.
Yes, he does the job. He does the job, and
I think he just needs that extra boost out of confidence.
Yeah,
a manager who believes
more
in him.
confidence from the coach, and in a recent interview, he wants to come back in Lyon. He wants to come back in Lyon
because he's seeing all the
level
we're having.
Yeah.
Do you think that'd be as a Marcelo replacement with his contract being up at the end of the season?
We will speak about Marcelo and the player ratings after, but
do you think it's because of the fact that he's having a hard time transition, because obviously he doesn't understand French or speak it very fluently? Yeah, I know. I
think he was isolated in the locker room, very isolated. And he was too shy. Even on the pitch, he was too shy.
Yeah,
he did many mistakes when he was in the first team. He made mistakes like against Bordeaux.
Yeah.
With this pass, Anthony Lopez.
Yeah.
What a miss!
I think it was just confidence at that point, because obviously
no confidence. And he saw that his teammates don't have confidence on him. With him,
they didn't have confidence in him.
So it could not be possible for him to play as a key player in the Olympique. It was not possible. And to be honest, Marcelo Denayer is the top level. Top.
Yeah.
I've got all the time for Marcelo.
Yeah,
I have the article. Athletic. I think he wrote an article. Obviously he was in Portuguese, but he had it in English as well. And I learned more about him as a player and how he likes to give 100% and is never satisfied. And that's the kind of leadership we kind of need, even though we don't do our very best. If we do our very best, then and give 100%, then for him, it's satisfying. I forgot what the article is. I think it's from The Athletic, but he wrote the article itself before the Juventus game, and you learn more about him as a person, about his background and how he grew up, and his leadership style, and it gives you a good eye opening about who he is as a person and how he is as a leader too. And I respect him a lot more after that.
Yeah, and especially to come back from the difficulties he had with the fans, and to kind of cement his place and put out big performances. He's not the fastest guy, he's not the most skillful, but a bit unlike Anderson, he knows how big he is and he knows how to use it. Like, my criticism with Anderson was that he never defended like a 6'4" beast. He defended like a
5 foot.
I don't want to say it, but it's not very nice. But yeah, he didn't defend like his size was. It's like someone just needed to tell him, you're a big bloke, just use it. Like, defend like you are. Like, don't defend like you're a 5'7" winger. Because that was my impression, was that he was he was defending like he was the size of Cacrette, but he was he's a big guy, but he'd defend like he was made of balsa wood, and I think that was more frustrating. I think if he was at least defending like we would expect and making mistakes, you could kind of pass it. But the fact that he coincided rookie errors with weak defending, it was just the poor combination. So now that we look at Marcelo and we see him turn himself around, it's great.
To focus on the beginning of the season, Jaws, we were in the game very stereotypical. I think it's like that. With lots of crosses, Maxwell Cornet, Léo Dubois, and we were not be able to score many goals.
No,
it was the problem.
It was the system that they had. I don't think crossing it and hoping for the best is our best strategy to begin with. We didn't have that kind of system of play. We didn't have the players to do it. I just thought it was just a horrible tactic to the very beginning to do something like that. And knowing Cornet and Dubois are not the best in terms of doing crosses itself doesn't help the situation either.
Dubois is one of the best in the league.
Not just in Europe as well.
In Europe?
In Europe, yes. I was speaking to someone on Twitter. I think you know him, Sam. Is it Nicholas?
Yeah, he's a good friend.
Nicholas. I was speaking to him on Twitter, and we were talking about the crossing differences between Dubois and Cornet, and it's massive. I think Cornet's got about, is it a 7% cross accuracy?
It's the worst.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Dubois is like
big witness. Big witness of Maxwell Cornet. But he improves. He improves. He improves.
It seems to.
I just have a question for Thomas. Okay. What does he see? What does Garcia see in Maxwell Cornet that he starts him over Melvin Bard? I just want to know what Melvin Bard has to do or what he did to not get a starting possession, because he's the only natural left back we have. And yet he's not even on like the subs list.
I think it's Rudy Garcia has more confidence with Maxwell Cornet because of his experience, because of his Champions League experience, especially against City, and he can count on Maxwell Cornet more than in Melvin Barr. He's too young. Melvin Barr is too young. I think the last match Melvin Barr was against Angers.
It was not good.
Have a red card.
Yes, he was sent off very quickly. And after this, no Melvin Barr.
Yeah.
And I think now is after Descheglio in the hierarchy. I think it's the word in English. Hierarchy. Is after Descheglio, who is a right foot for me.
He can play both positions, though.
Yeah, he can play both positions
as a left back.
But in Rudy Garcia's spirit, you've got Descheglio in the left.
I think an interesting thing to notice about Garcia is when he was at Roma, He also converted Alessandro Florenzi, who's now at Paris. He was a winger, and he moved him into a right back position. And at that period in time, he was regarded as one of the best right backs in the world. So I think he's seen something in Cornet, maybe what he saw in Florenzi, and seems to move him back into that position. Well, it's not worked to the thoughts of OL fans, but he is improving, I must admit.
You've got the example of Florenzi. You've got the example of the player of Marseille. Is now
Which one?
Bayern Munich.
Bounassar.
Bounassar. Yeah, the Bounassar. He was a winger, and now he's a fullback.
Yeah, it's something he's done before. So
thanks to Rudy Garcia.
Unlike the others, I think unlike the others, Cornet is the first winger to be converted into a fullback that's better defensively than he is offensively.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a true statement.
So Melvin Barr, unfortunately, I think he won't play.
He'll probably get a loan. You think? You think he'll get a loan? You think he will loan out?
I want him to go on loan. I think he has to play. For a young player, you have to play.
Yeah.
It's the same case for Cherki, the same case for Da Silva, it's the same case for Yaya Soumaré, for Malo Gusto. Yeah, they have to play.
Yeah.
I think the only problem if you loan Melvin Bard out, you've only got, really, if we still, on the team sheets, they count Cornet as a forward still. So you've only got 2 recognised first-team fullbacks in De Sciglio and Dubois. And one of them's on loan, so you only really own one of them. So
I agree with you.
Diamande can do a job.
Yeah, Diamande's played on the right side as well.
Yeah,
I think he played once on the left as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did. So it's just, I just can't see, because I think in midfield we're very, very condensed, but elsewhere, I think I don't think they'll make an addition. But I think if you're going to get rid of the kids, you're not going to have much cover behind your senior players. So if Malo Gusto goes out on loan, is he 17, 18?
17, Malo Gusto is so young. He's so young.
It's probably too much to put on him at this stage. But Bard's 20. Diamande's 19, 20.
Yeah, 19.
19, Diamande.
So, again, he's probably got the age to maybe play a first-team role. But I agree loans would be necessary. But I think because we're only playing in 2 competitions this season, I think it's key that you keep the players for cover.
Unless the problem for young players, they can't play with the second team of COVID. Yes.
Yeah.
They can only train with the first team players.
Train. Yeah, that's
so it's the problem. It's the big problem with Cherki too.
Yeah. Again, his impacts have been minimal from the bench, really, haven't they? I think you said, George, when he starts, he doesn't really. The
last start of Ryan Cherki was against Angers. I think it is.
I forgot he was there.
It was very bad, very poor in the game.
Yeah, it wasn't. Did Jean-Lucas start that game? Am I thinking? Did Jean-Lucas start that game as well?
Off the bench.
On the bench, Jean-Lucas.
Again, but he's another player. I think in his Orwell career, he's made about 500 minutes. So you can't say much.
You can't judge it based on 500 minutes.
We were having that discussion when we were with a fellow follower on Twitter. But I just think it's key if we're going to go for a title challenge that we keep players like Melvin Bart in case you suffer injuries to Cornet or De Sciglio or even Dubois.
Or suspension.
Yeah, important.
Junio wants to keep the good players, the key players. Like Memphis.
Well, there was the rumours of €5 million in January.
€5 million. Wow.
That's nothing. I'd rather lose the 5 million, keep them there.
Well, you gain more than 5 million for Champions League qualification.
And also you could also win a title.
Yeah, we have to keep Memphis. I think
you have to keep him. His leadership has been impeccable. I'm very usually you don't normally think of Memphis as leadership, but he has great leadership qualities that can really help the team. I'll keep that and let him go on a free, because if that means we can win a trophy again, it's been so long. I'd rather keep him in there, win a trophy, so that way he can go off on the sunset saying that I did something right. I brought my career back and I got a trophy for the club that I played for.
He has to be honest with the club, with the fans. He has to speak about his situation.
We can't really hear anything, do you?
I think we have to keep Memphis Depay, extend his contract, but he refused. He refused last time. So it's a big problem. His captain is at the end of his contract. What about him? We are in near to 2021, and we don't know exactly the situation of Memphis Depay. We have to know now.
I think you look at his personal situation with the fact that he's 26 now, going 27, and I mean he hasn't won anything with Lyon, has he? So
no, he wants to win something with us.
He went to Manchester United with the hope of winning trophies. It didn't work out. So I think if I'm looking as him personally, not any bias towards I'm thinking I've got maybe 2 big contracts left in my career. Lyon are moving forwards, but if we lose players like Aouar in the summer, I know Arsenal were interested. I know Dembele is injured and he hasn't offered much this season again, but he's another big name that we could lose.
He won't leave. Dembele won't leave. I don't
think he'll leave.
No, because he's broken arm and off.
Yeah.
Go to take him.
I think in the summer, possibly. Chelsea and United are both interested, apparently. That's what you read pretty much every window over here in the UK. But again, I'm just thinking if I'm Memphis, I could possibly earn more elsewhere and win more elsewhere. It's probably a personal thing to him that he wants to win trophies. I think we could win trophies this year. And maybe if we do qualify for the Champions League, win the Coupe de France or even Ligue 1, he would stay. But I think that's the only way you're going to get Memphis to sign a new contract.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Yeah.
I feel like he probably knows where he wants to go. But the thing is, the team that he wants to go is in shambles. And I think we know which one it starts with. It starts with the B.
They can't afford him.
They can't afford him.
And it's with the presidential elections as well. That's in the whole other conversation to have is Barcelona.
Sebastian said that Memphis got everything at Lyon. He won't lose everything going to another team. We speak about Paris Saint-Germain.
Paris Saint-Germain.
He's very good friends with Neymar and Mbappe. Very good friends.
But now the front three is working very well. Toko Ekambi.
And you can tell that it's genuine, and you can tell it's genuine happiness. They really happy to be with each other. Yeah. It's just an overall good feeling, good chemistry. It just feels good to see that again. It's been a while. It's been a very long time for us.
Fun again.
Yeah, that's it.
It's nice enjoyable. To see, fun, and be able to use the word fun and OL in the same sentence. It's something we've never seen. Even when we were good. And winning in Champions League, I think it was more that sense of achievement. And I think it was like that high, like if you were in an exam, that stress, and then to get the reward afterwards, that was more the feeling. But now it's kind of like, you can turn on OL match and be fairly confident you're going to enjoy it. Like you're going to have fun watching, you're going to see, technical players, you're going to see, not so technical players, but hardworking players. And, instead of cursing at Toko Ekambi or Poto Ekambi, we're watching him celebrate with his little and so
Bambatino dances
Yeah. I feel like that comes down to our Brazilian trio of Thiago Mendes, who has had a huge transformation from last year to this year. Bruno Guimarães and Lucas Paqueta. Oh, give me if we had that every week. If we had that every week, I'd be so satisfied.
We have the best trio. We have the best midfielders of the Ligue 1.
Yeah, definitely.
I think
we have two. I think we have two midfields better than the rest of Ligue 1.
Yeah, the second midfield is just as good as Paris' starting midfield. It is.
We can compete against Paris' midfield. That's what I'm thinking, and if not beat them at times.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't rate Paris's midfield as the second best either. I think
they'll be third
Monaco
best.
or Lille.
Yeah.
Oh no, Lille would have the second best, then maybe Monaco, then maybe Nice, then maybe Rennes.
Yeah,
but Paris maybe.
But the trio is amazing. The trio is amazing.
Yeah,
Thiago Mendes.
Huge improvement. Huge improvement. I love it.
Huge improvement. Confidence. No nightclub due to COVID. No nightclub for Thiago Mendes.
That's the secret. He's off the sauce. No more sauce for Mendes.
It's probably was it because of the fact that there's more Brazilians? He feels more like he's more genuine. I don't know. What's the big thing that caused it to like?
I think that's
go to the switch.
Yeah, I think he's finally. I think he said in an interview that he felt pressure arriving at Lyon, and I was one of the supporters that I really liked on paper the arrival of Mendes. I think he ticked every single box. He had experience in Ligue 1. He was a ball-playing number 6. He was mobile. He was the complete opposite of Toussaint, and he was exactly the profile that Juninho detailed when he arrived, when he said that we needed to create from the midfield, from that base of midfield, and Mendes was the guy, and it made sense. We got him for a good price. He was good at Lille.
Yeah.
And I think that pressure of being that leader in the midfield, I think he kind of, maybe he didn't realize it. And then and to make things worse, I think his lifestyle was maybe not as serious as it probably should be. And I don't know, it's always hard as well moving to a new team. Maybe there was some dressing room situations that, it didn't work as well, like a personality clash. I'm not too sure, but he did. The one thing is that he wasn't given much time as the lone 6 at the base of midfield. He was often deployed as a number 8 in our box to box with Luka Toussaint, and I don't think he necessarily is able to play and take his play to the other team with the ball at his feet. I think he needs to have to be able to see the play in front of him, as a number 6. So I think that's his position. Even though he played in a double pivot at Lille, I still think he was a number 6 more than a number 8, even if he was the more mobile of the two at Lille.
I think Thiago Mendes is a register because he's good. He is one of the best players with crosses. His crosses is perfect, precise.
Yeah,
he's the best. I think he has a good balance between attack and defense. He can protect the penalty areas, but he can lead attacks. He's a good player. Definitely, it's a good player.
I think he gives that platform for the likes of Paqueta and Aouar to be more expressive on the ball and have that freedom.
Definitely.
Because I think the issue with Paqueta at Milan was that he was quite constrained to play a certain way, to play a certain style. And I watched the video. There's a good video of his time at Flamengo in Brazil, where he played on the right side of a midfield 3, and he played exactly like we see in Lyon, where he's able to take up advanced positions when the winger is out of place, but he's also able to drop back and take up the positions where the fullback or the defensive mid are, and he's quite comfortable doing both. And I think the secret to his form with us is that we give him that freedom to roam. He's not a player that sits and plays necessarily like a box to box where he runs up and down one channel. He occupies, he's able to look and see where there's a gap, where there's a hole. And with that movement, he's able to find passes. And I think it also makes other players play around him. But I think Mendes playing in that deep role gives him that platform to do that. And I think, it's good to see.
Paqueta, I agree with you. Paqueta is a good surprise.
Signing of the season.
20 million is a
recruitment.
bargain. 20
It's
million is a bargain.
At 25 million, it was not a bargain. It's a high price.
I think for the play, yeah, I thought it was a big sum for a player in his situation. I know he was bought with high prospects.
Situation was bad
25
in the Milan AC.
Yeah.
AC Milan. It was very bad, the situation. So 25 million for this guy. Wow. You are a fan of the Olympique Lyonnais, with no Champions League, no European Cups. Paqueta for 25 minutes, it's not a bargain, but it's
maybe,
a good surprise.
But maybe that's the genius with Juninho, is he saw
Yes, it's the
player that we needed.
I think that's it, yeah. I think if you look at Paqueta at AC Milan, the pressure on him was massive. He was talked about in Brazil as one of the next big things to be up there with
next Kaká.
I
think
the next
Kaká, yes.
Isn't there?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when you look at him now, he's come to Lyon. It was a big price, but I think there wasn't as much expectation as there was to perform at AC Milan.
Yeah.
So when he's come into Lyon, it's kind of caught everyone off guard because we weren't expecting him to be this all-seeing, all-doing, creative, pressing master that we've got in midfield. So I think the fact we've seen him come to Lyon and do this has been probably, for me, the biggest shock. But as I say, I've got nothing to complain about. He's been excellent.
Yeah, Elise said, wait, Guy Paqueta, good the first 6 months when he arrived in Milan. Yes, but it's a good surprise. He's very calm.
I've heard
when he has the ball, very calm. He protects the ball with class. Yeah.
Back to the
Whenever
player.
he scores, he's having a dance party. Whenever he scores, he has a dance party. It seems like it.
It's like Toko. It's like Toko. He scored his first goal against Nantes.
You saw the enjoyment as well and the relief. It seems like he's happy in Lyon, but as I was saying earlier, I think that's from Juninho. We've got a massive Brazilian contingent at the club with Marcelo, Bruno, Lucas Paqueta, Jean Lucas. It seems to be a part of the team. You've got the Brazilian guys who settle in really well and they're bringing that sort of style to the team, but also, I don't know, it's hard to describe
it's something's clicking in there. It's the conjugate's clicking, and it's always a good thing when that happens.
I think you can see, use an example in England. Wolves have got a very big Portuguese.
Yeah, the Wolves.
That's contributed to a lot of their form. I think if you have a dressing room that speaks one or two languages and can all maybe come together in that sense, there's no contrasting views on things or the way we play. It seems to have worked and gelled quite well together.
He said that he was well welcomed in Lyon.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
He said
You can
that
see
he
it
was
with his
happy.
relationship.
And as he said,
as well.
it's a chemistry. It's a good chemistry between the three players. But do you prefer with Aouar or without Aouar? It's a question.
I'll always love Aouar. I can't say a bad thing about him. I can't, honestly, I can't. I'd keep Aouar at all costs.
I know that's my favourite player.
But I genuinely do think there's something that he can offer that no one else can offer.
Yeah, definitely. But my caveat to that, I think is the word, is I think Aouar is the most talented player we've got. And he's probably still my favourite player. But I've also found him quite... I think
consistent.
What I liked when he made his breakthrough was that he was this dogged, he was gritty, and for all his talent and finesse and elegance, he had that off the ball as well in defense. And now that he's lost it, I kind of find him to be a little bit, as is negative, I see him as a bit stroppy, a little bit.
You saw that.
He kind of has this. He's learnt this swagger, which I don't appreciate, and I don't think he benefits from it as much. So I think
influence from Memphis, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that we've now seen that with Paqueta, we've seen that you can combine talent and elegance with hard work, and I think our coming out and having that sort of press release where he said, I was in difficulty in the first, few months with fitness and things. I think that's him admitting in a nice way that he wasn't doing and I don't think he was wetting the jersey as he should have been. Yeah. But I understand. I definitely think he deserves the criticism he has gotten. But on the other hand, I'm not giving up on him. Like, I don't think he's a wasted player like some exaggerate him to be.
He was very in trouble. He was linked to Arsenal, but he stayed in Lyon. He has his first selection. I think his selection in French team, French national team. Yes, he had the COVID.
Yeah.
And he was sanctioned by Juninho.
Yeah, for not training out with.
For not training after the Angers. Wow. A lot of things for this star. He's a star in Lyon.
Yeah, he is.
He's so young, but he's a star.
The prince.
That's it. Yeah, he's the name.
He's the prince of Lyon.
I might have to disagree here. I don't mind him. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind him, but he's vastly inconsistent.
He's inconsistent.
If you give him a match against PSG, he shines. But if you give him a match against like an Angers or something, no offense to them, great team, he doesn't perform well. So he has to have that consistency. And for me, he doesn't seem like it. I'd rather cash in on him now because we have the midfielders needed to be able to go forward. Don't get me wrong, Auer's a good player, but I feel like his time is now going to be on the summertime he's going to be going. I feel like I'd rather have him go now because we have the players needed in midfield to be able to handle the position itself.
I disagree with that. I can't.
I know, but he's just vastly inconsistent. If he can get some consistency and up to high level every single game, then he would be.
I think it's hard to get a high level. I get where you're coming from. He has been inconsistent, but I think it's hard to get asked, especially with everything he's been going through this season with the COVID, and who knows, might have been experiencing something off field. We don't know about that. It's hard to expect, especially after last season ended, having COVID, to expect him to play to that level every game is a big ask.
Yeah.
But no, I can't honestly disagree with that statement on the screen anymore. As a midfielder, he's not a winger.
Yeah, isn't a midfielder better in the left back? I think, but when he played against the masterclass, against Manchester City in 2018, he was in the double pivots with Ndombele.
He drifts inside from that left-hand side, so if you play him in that position, it's got to be a free roll, so he can move centrally or he can move right and deep to pick up the ball. But if you're wanting him, like, say we see now with whoever it is who plays on respective sides, say Toko, who's there to make the runs, if you go into put Aouar in that position, you wouldn't get what you want from him, what you can get from him in midfield.
Yeah, exactly. I think the way that he worked when he was playing as a winger was because we had three statues playing up front. And so when he was playing in midfield, there wasn't the movement for him to make those passes into. There wasn't that movement for him to find those things. So he was, a lot of the time, he was doing things himself. I think my criticism of Aouar was pre-COVID troubles. I think he was still guilty of only ever playing 45 minutes every match.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think it was only the Benfica match that I was talking about earlier, where he played a full 90.
Yeah,
full 90. That was the first time I think in about 6 months I saw him play 90 minutes of high quality football. So I think when he was being linked and being touted as to be sold off, I think it was going to leave me with bitter taste in my mouth. I think because I felt that he still had more to prove in Lyon.
Yeah.
And I think he still does. But if he can put in, a good second half of this season, I'm happy for him to move on if we're talking about a good title race towards the end, and he's put in 90 minutes of football game in, game out. I think all the best to him. But yeah, I kind of agree with both of you in a way. Like, I agree with George as well. Like, maybe we have the depth to cover him, maybe, or we recruit someone else. But at the same time, I don't think I'll ever like seeing him go. So
no, that's
a bit of like,
that's my main thing.
It's the playing with their head in the heart kind of thing.
Yeah. One thing I would say is if Memphis is to leave in the summer, that captaincy is available. I could possibly be on board if you get or see something from him, with him being from Lyon and the story of him coming through the academy, potentially giving him the captaincy. If that was an incentive to improve performance.
I think he's second or third in the hierarchy of captain. I think it's Memphis, Marcelo, Awar, Dubois. Dubois, Awar.
Dubois, not denied.
Dubois. Guys, it's now the time of player ratings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. With some comments. You written comment. We start with our goalkeeper, Anthony Lopez. Yes, he was formed in the academy. He played for Olympique Lyonnais since so many times. I think for me, it's one of our best players. The best goalkeeper in the league.
Yeah.
Constant. For me, it's an 8.
I would say a 7. I just can't get over the fact that he can have, like, he's very good, don't get me wrong. I just think his mentality at times is a little questionable, especially against specifically the Stade Brestois game. What was he thinking? I don't know. I can't get in his head, but the fact that he came away a penalty. Then also when he saved it, his feet were off the line. So it's like a double jeopardy. I was like, I give him a 7 because I think he still needs to do a little bit more work mentally and not make dumb errors. If he can keep himself consistent and do very good and be the way that he was, then I think he would definitely get a higher rating at the end of the season. But for right now, a 7 is probably fair enough due to his mentality issues that he has sometimes in games. That costs us several points. In this case, if we had beaten Brest, I feel like we would have been 2 points ahead of Lille. So we would have that cushion to have if anything were to happen, God forbid, if we drop points elsewhere in January or earlier on, the next part of the season.
I think I agree with you, Thomas. I'd give him an 8. To counter what you've just said, George, I agree. The Brest game was a nightmare. In England, they call it a Western supermare. It was awful. But, to counter that, if you think about the points we dropped in that game, what about the points he saved us? The amount of saves he's made in big games this season, like the Lille game, for example. He must have made 8 or 9 saves in that game when we were down to 10 men and Ben Lamry came on and was the second coming of Maldini. But it was. I just can't agree with the fact that he's inconsistent. I think he's been one of his most consistent players.
It just, for me, it's just the mentality thing. If he can try to get over that, then absolutely he can make it to the next level.
I think there's a few players in the squad who've got that in them, but it seems to become less and less like, I mean, I know Marcel's not the club anymore, but he was one of those players. I went to Lyon last season to watch the Strasbourg game, and he almost scored an own goal from about 45 yards out. I don't know if you remember that. And Lopez was running back to save him.
It was against Strasbourg?
Strasbourg, yeah.
Strasbourg. When Marcel...
there's about 8 minutes gone, and he stood on the halfway line and he tries to pass the ball back to him. He reads it wrong and it nearly ends up going in, but that's the problem. Yeah, I agree with that. His mentality has got so many points. He plays for the shirt every game. He does. He plays for the shirt every game. I know he's got that in him.
Mr. Sam.
I like that he has. Yeah, I think it might be the rugby league enthusiast in me, but I like his.
Is
I like
he a rugby player?
He's strong. Yeah, I like it. I like the rugby player in him. I like the hard case in him, like against
MMA.
Angers. Yeah, I think everyone was whinging about his knee in Thomas's back. I thought Thomas was being a big girl. So I like that he's rough and tough, and I think that's good in a way. But I think he needs to hone it in. I think the match against Brest, I thought it was just an absolute. I don't know what he was thinking, but I think you get with Lopez, you get most of the good with a little bit of bad. So I'm kind of a bit in between, I guess. I don't want to be that fence sitter and say 7.5, but
7.5. Okay.
But I kind of see that. I think I can take his style. I think what I kind of wish he was a little bit better. I wish he was a little bit more better with his passing out from the back. I think there are certain, just a little bit. I think his situation is that he's on the cusp of being that top tier of goalkeeper, but I think he's still kind of hovering around that. I think his level of reflex saves throughout a match is probably world class. I don't think anyone denies that, but I think when you're looking at other goalkeepers in that upper echelon of player, I think you see that, I think his prowess in the penalty situations could be a little bit improved. I think his ball handling could be a little bit improved, his passing out from the back. But, you have a goalkeeper to stop shots, and that's what he does. So I don't think these are nitpicky.
The goalkeeper has to block shots.
That's the main thing at the end of the day, isn't it?
So I think I still give him an 8. I think I still give him an 8.
You go. All goalkeepers are under pressure. Lopez too, but apart from big mistake, 90% of his work is clean. He earns more points than he lost it. Yeah, I think exactly.
Yeah.
So the back two, the two central defenders, Marcelo and Denayer. I think it's a duo. For me, from 8, it's an 8 for these two players. Yeah. George.
I'm going to separate them two and put it separately. For me, I put Denayer as an 8. I think he's been fantastic. He's rock solid. Hasn't been sent off. Hasn't everything. It's been perfection.
2 yellow cards.
That's it.
2 yellow cards in his own career. 2. Very clean defender.
But for me, Marcelo would be at 6. Obviously,
6?
I know that. Yes, and hear me why. I think 6.5, 7, because for me, okay, he's not bad. Don't get me wrong. It's just sometimes the reason why we concede goals is sometimes through him. Also, the fact that the red card kind of screwed over in a little match, that was kind of a big deal to me. Obviously, he's definitely improved, but for me, 6.5. Maybe 7, but for me, Denayer would be the better of the two in terms of ratings. I know I'm very harsh. but I'm sorry, but overall, Marcelo is 6. But this first half of the season, 6.5, 7. I know I'm very harsh. I'm sorry.
Marcelo protects the penalty area as a master. Clearances. I think it's the best with the clearances. He protects the penalty area as a master. It's my opinion. When
I think they are really well complementary to each other. I think to second season Marcelo, I would have given him a -4, but I think the Marcelo we've seen this season. No. Second season Marcelo. Marcelo in his second season at OL, I would have given him a -4. But this season, in this season, I actually, together, I think they're an 8. I think we now currently have the second best defense in Liga. I think or second or third. You'd have to go and check it, but
I'm gonna
which is
check
surprising to think. Yeah. Anyway, but I think at the beginning of the season, I found Denier a little bit more shaky. Then he's set a high standard for himself. But I found Denier a little bit too passive in some situations. But I think that was in maybe the first 4 or 5 games. But since then, I think Denier's been back to his best.
Third defense of the league.
Third
Lyon.
best. Yeah.
Third
Which,
best. And
to talk about having the third best defense, with Lyon is crazy, but that's all thanks to these 2 guys, I think. And Marcelo.
Third of expected goals against. Good.
Yeah. So I think, I think the partnership themselves.
We are realistic.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So Marcelo.
I'd give them an 8 as well, but both of them together, I think, complement each other very well. And I think with Diomande as the third defender, I think he's learning from
against Brest Diomande.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, off the line. And I think he's complementing those 2 really well, being that supportive player. And I think it's a great time to have a young defender like Diomande coming through with those 2 ahead of you. Good 2 centre backs to learn off.
I've got a advanced stat. Marcelo is the first defender with 3.5 clearances per match. The best.
Wow.
The best.
For me personally, I think Marcelo's been better than Denier this season. I don't. From what I agree with what you've been saying, Sam. From seeing Marcelo when he was going through all the troubles with the fans, to seeing him now, he looks a completely player.
Yeah,
because there was
shows his character, the strength of character.
Yeah, exactly. There was the red card against. Was it Lille?
No, it was against Lille.
And we still got a point out.
It was
of
harsh,
that
but
it was harsh. It wasn't. It was second yellow, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it wasn't a straight.
Second.
Again, he's got that in his game. We know what Marcelo's like, but them 2 as a pair this season, I couldn't disagree with an 8. I couldn't, maybe even 8.5, maybe.
Yeah. Denier is pure consistency, fast, hard on one, little wounded, is impossible, and always remains standing, technical leader. Yeah, I agree.
I also see something about Ben Lamry.
Ben Lamry. Yes. It's the hype. It was the hype when he came on the pitch against Lille. Yeah.
Breathtaking.
Yeah. As I said, the second coming of Maldini or Alessandro.
I like that.
The Algerian Maldini. Yeah.
And whenever he's not on the bench, the starting lineup, you always see on Facebook all the angry emojis, and I'm like, "Who's that?" All the Algerian fans of Ben Lamry.
I think Ben Lamry is a marketing move for Algerian community of not, but in the hierarchy is not. Is you have Marcelo, Denier, Diomande, and after Ben Lamry.
Yeah.
And in 5th, Tio.
Yeah.
So we are gonna speak about the fullbacks. With Dubois.
Sam, go first on this one.
You go first?
Yeah, go on.
Sam first.
Okay. Dubois. I don't think he's as bad as people say he is, but I also don't think he's as good as he could be. So I'm going to say he's a 6. Maybe it just depends on what our ratings are. Is a 5 a pass? Are we saying that 5 is like a standard? 5 or 6? Yeah, I'd say somewhere
normally
there.
Just decent, isn't it?
Yes. I would. I think he's had more poor matches. I think he's had more matches as a 5. So I'm going to say I think he's only ever hovered between 5 and 7. And I think his matches as a 5 have outweighed his matches as a 7. I'm going to put it out there. Feel free to disagree.
We forget the goal against Lyon when he dribbles. He dribbles past opponents. Wow, magical skills. He scored a fantastic goal and an important goal.
That's why
against Lyon.
I think he could be better than he is.
He could be better, but it's a French
I think he
international player.
Yeah.
He played in the first team in France. Maybe with Pavard.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in Deschamps' thoughts. It's definitely.
I think he benefits from a weakness in the department of quality right backs.
I agree
French
with
right
you.
backs, but I don't think that's as a negative necessarily to him. Like I think he probably deserves what he gets, but I don't know. I think it's hard because I actually like him a lot for his qualities, but I find myself when I'm watching him, I think there was a match where Diomande was playing centre back and Diomande was defending both his area and Dubois' area the whole time. And Dubois, I can't remember which match this was, but Dubois was constantly getting beaten. And to say that, fair enough if he was making the advances forward in attack, but he wasn't really doing that either. I think he was getting caught in this. He gets caught in this midfield area, I find, and Anyway, I think I see that too much for me to really praise him and give him much more than that.
For Rudy Garcia, he's a leader. He's one of the leaders of our team.
True.
That's why he plays in the first team. Every game.
Yeah. And he deserves to.
If I was going to have to rate I'll keep it short and sweet. I'd 6.5. I'm one of his supporters. I think he's harshly criticised. Like as we were talking about earlier in the show, he's one of the best crossers in the league.
I've got the stat. It's 2 crosses per match. For Leo Dubois, he's the best in the team.
If you compare with that the rest of the team, it's again though, but the frequency of crosses aren't always the best, I must admit. But I agree with what Sam was saying. He sometimes finds himself out of where he's supposed to be. So he'll be on the right hand wing, hugging whoever their fullback is, and then you find out they're counter-attacking on us and he's not where he's supposed to be, and it leaves yourself a little bit vulnerable at the back. But I think some of his critics are a way bit harsh on him. I think he's more than capable to play for Lyon, and as you say, Garcia sees him as a leader.
For me, it's a 6.
6. I can agree with that. Yeah.
I think 6 is good.
That's harsh.
The magical Maxwell Cornet. The talisman of this team.
Can I jump in on Maxwell?
No. He played 16 match and 15 as a first player in the start team. Yes, started.
I think. What is Maxwell calling? I think that's the question. It's he's unrateable. I like him. I think he's a likable person, and I think he offers something. I don't know what. We haven't discovered that yet. In 5-6 years. I mean, he's not even that old, is he? Was he 23, 24?
24, I think.
So I'm not going to
24. Rate him. 24.
I'm not going to rate him. I don't know how to rate him.
No, you have to rate him.
Yeah, come on, mate.
Two assists against Saint-Etienne. 2 assists against Saint-Etienne in the derby.
He's offered some big moments in the season as well, and he's scored, hasn't he? But he scored against Brest, didn't it? With the
yes, he scored against Brest. Yeah.
What would be the winner if Anthony Lopez didn't tackle Mounier?
But
Mounier, Steve Mounier,
Mounier.
former
Mounier.
Huddersfield player.
Yeah.
It was
absolutely
Huddersfield,
fantastic.
Montpellier.
Montpellier and Huddersfield in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go a 5.
5. Whoa. Sam.
I would go
Yeah,
5.
5 as
no.
well. Exactly the
5.
same thing. Yeah, 5.
And you, George? 5?
Yep, 5.
Whoa.
You think
5.
we're being harsh there?
I like you. 5 is a good and average rating for him because he alternate the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Very
There's
poor
no
defensively.
there's no in between. He's either good or he's just terrible.
As Samuel said with Dubois, he's always out of position.
Yeah.
When you have to defend, he's out of position. So you have Donayer, who have to defend on the left side because Michael Cornet is so far away of his position.
Yeah.
So, but he's not a left back. He's a winger.
No.
He's a forward.
Well, as I said, what is Maxwell Cornet? We don't know what his position is. We don't know what he does.
But
He's a left wing back at best. He can't be a back. He can't be the left back in a 4. You know,
I think if you've got more security there, you'll get more from him. But again, I don't see us play 3 at the back again.
Three at the back.
I think when he was in against Manchester City, he had Marcel there as the left centre back, and Marcel did all his defensive work for him. And Cornet, we didn't really need Cornet for his offensive skills, even though he did score. But I think in that position, at least, he was free from defensive duties and able to do whatever it is he does in offense. If it's not scoring a goal or scoring a goal, what does he do?
But he's a hard work man. He's hard work.
He is, and
on the pitch.
Again, he's likable. He is very likable.
He has a good relationship with a lot.
And exactly. And he's a leader in the locker room.
Yeah.
So
he's a good squad player. He's always been a great squad player to have. Ideally, I think you have him on the bench. He could be that utility player that every squad wants. But I don't think he's ever been a first-team player, and probably will never should be a first-team player for Lyon if we're to take ourselves seriously going forward. But he's a good, I guess, for this season. I guess he does his job. He's not the worst. He's definitely not the best. It's
average.
Yeah, ideally
average.
You would have.
It's a good conclusion. Sam. It's a good conclusion.
Yeah.
Thiago Mendes.
I give him a 7.
7 to Thiago Mendes. Hugo, you have to listen. Hugo is a huge fan of Mendes.
I really like him. I think the reason why I gave him a high remark is because from what he was last year to this year has just been miles different in a good way. He's been very good at the back. He's been playing a good number 6. And I think he's been taking it to a new level. And I feel like obviously he would have to be, obviously for him, the red card against PSG was terrible. I don't think he deserved a red card at all. I think the yellow card was fairly reasonable, but knowing how Neymar is a crybaby, that's why he gets a red and gets three game suspension for someone that's barely out for 3 weeks. Don't even get me started on that. But for me, a 7 would be reasonable for him because compared to what he was last year to this year, it's been worldly different.
He played only 8 matches in the 11. Only 8 matches.
Yeah.
What about you?
For me, Mendes is. I think the improvement's been massive. I'd go with an 8. I think, as we were talking about earlier, the arrival of Paqueta is. I think it's been supported by what Mendes offers in midfield. He's the security for the back 4. So if we find ourselves with Cornet up the pitch or Dubois up the pitch, he comes back and gives the security to the back 2, who will be left with spaces that need covering. And he also allows the two midfielders ahead of him to roam and do what they need to do. So, yeah, I think the improvement's been massive. So, an 8 for me.
Massive improvement. I agree with you, Liam. Sam. Oh, mute Sam. Sorry, I mute you.
That's all right. It's probably better than that way. Yeah, I would give him an 8 as well. I think he's been that platform, like we were saying before. He's been that platform that we've needed to launch. I think he launches the other midfielders.
You say in English, a platform.
The platform, yeah. You could maybe say the fulcrum. The
platform is good.
I think he's that kind of. I think he's the beginning of the midfield. That I'm trying to put it in the best words. Like the platform, like he's able to be that base for the other midfielders to benefit from. I think
balance between defense and
it's the balance, and I think he does the dirty work. I think
dirty work.
I don't know if you
like
guys
Luka
say
Toussaint, like Luka Toussaint.
Yes, I think he does the dirty work like Luka Toussaint, but with skill.
With chills. a better version of Luka Toussaint.
And what I like about Mendes this season a lot is his no-nonsense kind of approach, where you see a lot of you see it on his face. He necessarily really feels, the burden of his role. I think, he's got that determination on his face, and you can see it like, when there's fouls against him, or he's always there. He's always got something to say, which I kind of like. I think he asks questions of the opposition around him. I think he's always there. A little bit like Benjamin Andre for Lille. I think he does that harassing work really well. But
the body language is nonchalant. Is it the right word in English? Nonchalant, like.
I think does nonchalant have a negative?
Yeah, I think body English.
I would say he has kind of like a bravado, like a he almost has like a strength to it. Like it's like nonchalance with determination or confidence.
Swagger?
Yeah, swagger. Yeah, I guess.
Swagger.
Yeah.
Okay, swagger.
Yeah.
Swagger. So what is the rate, Sam?
I would go 8 as well, like Liam said. Yeah.
For me, it's a 7. Oh, 7. Now, Lucas Paqueta. The prize.
Who wants to jump in? Can I jump in?
Who wants to jump in? Liam, you jump in, Lucas Paqueta.
9.
9. Yeah.
Sam? No.
Liam, you lag. You're lagging. He's lagging.
He's gone. He disappeared.
Where are you, Liam? What? You will come back very soon.
He'll come back. Sam, do you go first?
Mr. Sam from Aussie.
As my self-proclaimed doppelganger, Lucas Paqueta. Do you guys say that in France? Doppelganger?
Come on.
I don't think there's a word. For that.
What is the word? What is the word?
Doppelganger.
Doppelganger. It's a German.
What is
German word? A lookalike.
Yeah.
It's your celebrity lookalike.
It's a
celebrity that looks like you.
Okay.
I'm saying I'm proclaiming that I look like him, very loosely. Anyway, I would probably say, I'd probably say 9 as well. I think he's I would say 9, but for the reason that the OL before Paqueta, to him finding his form, has completely transformed the entire game. So for me, I think without him, our midfield is what it was before Strasbourg match, and with him now is exactly what we're seeing now. I think it's his combination of, he's had to bench Cacrette and Guimaraes to get to where he is, and I don't think that's any small feat to say that he can come in and do that and combine not only our level technique, but also Cacrette level work rate. And so I think he's a complete player. I think, we've seen him transform the entire midfield, and he's projecting our game forward. I don't think I've seen him make a backward pass. I don't think, if he can't make a backward pass, he holds the ball until he does. And it's a 9 for me. Even though it seems, Liam, you're back.
So
right. So poor connection.
Yeah, so it's a 9 for me anyway. I think
9.
It's more so
George.
because of his impact on the team.
I would say
George?
an 8. I would say an 8, 8.5. Obviously, for the amount of money that we got for him, the amount of transformation of our midfield has been fantastic. Just the way he plays, it just makes me happy seeing him. Just the way that he just flows through with the midfield, and I'm kind of glad the fact that he actually finally got his first goal for us. It felt good to know that he finally got the goal that he needed, because he rightfully deserves a couple goals at this point in time. I think he's fantastic. He's definitely been a help in midfield and took our midfield to the next level. My thing is the reason why I didn't give it a 9 yet, because I want to see if he can continue this form the entire season. Because if he can do the same thing that he's been doing now for the rest of the season, I think we're going to do fantastic. And I would give him a 9 for the end of the year. But for the moment, 8, 8.5. I want him to take it to another level. I want more goals, and that's it.
For me, it's an 8 because it's a big surprise for us. He's very relaxed when he has the ball. Relaxed body language. Is very confident with the ball. He goes straight on, like
He's
this.
forward, yeah.
He's forward. He scored 1 goal. It's good, and he's sympathetic. He has the smile. He wants to dance. He's in the spirit for the team. So for me, it's 8. On the stream. I had to stream again because.
Hello. Sorry about this, honestly.
It's raining in England.
Yeah, it is.
It's raining in England. Right. So,
who
Paqueta, what is your rating of Paqueta?
9.
9.
9, yeah. I can't rate him anything else, really. I think he's been excellent. There's been no flaws to his game, really, that I've noticed since he's come in, and he seems to give something to the offense and defense that no one else in midfield offers. So, yeah, a 9 for me.
Okay. Now, Oussem Aouar. Who wants to jump in?
7.
Yeah, 7.
7 for me.
7.
I think his last 2 matches have been really good. But I think up until now, his matches have been largely poor. And so I think 7 is a representation of where he's been lately. But if you were to ask me that 2 matches ago, it would most likely be a 6 heading down towards a 5. But I think his last 2 matches, he's, filled that role that we expect him to. And I think, again, that's a little bit down to the team's form and also the competition in midfield that's brought the best out of him. And also those, the negatives that were holding him back, I think, do play a part of it. But as a professional footballer, I kind of expect you to take on those burdens and kind of rise above them, or kind of learn quickly how to deal with them. But I think he's on the right track, and if he keeps this up for the rest of the season,
he's back on track. He's back on track. I have stats: 3 goals, 3 assists for him, 2.6 shot per match, 1.7 key passes per match. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Advanced stats. It's good. 3 assists, 3 goals. With a troubled beginning.
He's decisive.
He's decisive. We want him to be decisive, and he is decisive.
Yeah.
A lot of criticism about him, but in global, it's very correct. Mr. Lyon.
7 for me. That's kind of biased. I think I've made it clear I love Aouar, but he's been too inconsistent this season in certain matches. But again, he brings something that no one else really brings in midfield. He's kind of a 10, but not a 10. I think he links some of the play between Mendes and Paqueta to the front three that Memphis is also doing. But as I think Sam mentioned, he can be very off on his day. So, no, in fact, I'll go 6.5. 7's probably too kind. So 6.5 for me.
Okay. George?
He took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say 6.5. If he was more consistent, I feel like he would get a higher rating. But for me, 6.5 because of his inconsistency. If he can be more consistent and be more direct, I feel like he would be a higher rating at this time.
I agree with you. The same rate for me, for Houssem Aouar. I think he will be one of the main players of the second part of the season, I think. I hope. Bruno Guimaraes.
I'll take that. As a Portuguese person, I'll take it. I put it as a 7.5. 7.5, 8.
For Bruno Guimaraes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think his impact in the very beginning, obviously I'm putting it as a calendar year, so don't mind me. When he first started in February was right away impactful. Obviously this season he's been in and out, hasn't been consistently starting, but whenever he plays, he plays pretty well. So I think for me, 7.5, 8 would be my rating for him.
The stats: 1 goal, 1 assist, Bruno Guimaraes, but to shot more often. It's I think it's his weakness. He has to shot more because he has a good right foot. I think it's his weakness. He have to improve the shots.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think his meteoric rise, his arrival was, it was almost as if watching a player that shouldn't be at OL that was too good. But I think this season he hasn't been at that level of when he first arrived. But still, I would give him, like George, I would give him, between 7 towards an 8. I think he's a victim. I think whenever he does play, he's brilliant. And I think the only reason he's not starting matches is just a victim of the competition and the balance that we have in midfield. I actually think our best midfield 3 was Guimaraes, Paqueta, and Mendes. I actually think they complemented each other really well. I think it would work better, as like you were saying, Thomas, if he had a better offensive output, if he was a little bit more decisive. But I think his stats in the decisive area are due to him being that more deep-lying midfielder. So we can't really expect him to have that much impact in the final third. Having said that, though, when he is in those areas, he needs to do better. But, amazing player, and we're so lucky to have him, and I think he's going to get better and better during his time with us. So I would give him a similar ranking it's like a 7.5. Like, I would give him a similar ranking to Mendes. I'd give him 8 because I've been generous to everyone else. So I'll give him an 8.
Yes, he was the hype when he came in February. He was the man of the match against Juventus. What a match!
The
What
Derby,
a match.
Paris.
I remember
Juventus.
against Quadrado. The ball, I don't know the word in English. The sombrero he did on a
Sombrero.
Sombrero.
he did on Quadrado. Majestuous player.
Yeah. He was a 10 out of 10 player when he arrived for me. His impact was similar.
Yes. His impact was similar as?
Oh, yes. His impact was similar to Paqueta, I think. It was maybe even more so because it was right from the start. Like, he just cemented his position straight away when he arrived. And it was like, he was like heaven sent. Like he was sent from heaven just to bless our midfield. It was incredible. And, yeah.
So we're on Bruno now, are we?
Bruno Guimaraes. Exactly.
What can you say about Bruno? I mean, as you were saying, man of the match against Juventus. I think he's been. You could maybe mistreated this season with the amount of game time he's had, because I think Garcia's set on this Paqueta, Aouar and Mendes midfield. I think maybe he feels hard done by the amount of minutes he's getting. But I'd give him an 8. I think when he came into the club, I think everyone thought we've got a bargain here. He looked complete.
10 match in the starting 11, 6 as a sub.
That's this season.
Yeah,
I thought it'd be less than that, to be honest.
But 10,
I think
10
you might
games.
find that over the season, though. With the more that this midfield gets cemented together and they get the partnerships working with each other. In particular, Aouar and Paqueta, I think they're the positions that he'll be looking to fill in for. I think he may find that minutes do come less compared to the start of the season, because I think this midfield three seems to be where the team's going within this counter-attacking, counter-pressing style that we see ourselves playing.
Okay, and now the KTM, the steamroller.
The steamroller.
The steamroller. Right, Wow. We start with Memphis Depay. Memphis Depay, it's six goals, 4 assists. Good stats.
How many games have we played?
He played 13 games in start 11, 4 as a sub.
So 17, 10 goal contributions in 17 games.
It's good, pretty good.
It's better than one every 2 games, isn't it? So I'd go 7.5. I think sometimes with Memphis, he's
not consistent.
like what we saw in the Nantes game. He missed a plethora of chances, but he is as we were talking about earlier, he's the focal point in the attack. Everything effective seems to come through him or go by him. So I'd give him a 7.5. Maybe that's being generous, but again, the numbers support that. He's been, well, the whole front three have been amazing. But yeah, for me, Memphis 7.5.
Okay. Sam?
It's a hard one. I guess 7.5 as well. Probably more for his decisiveness, more so than, I think when you look at Memphis, like Liam was saying, you're looking at his goal contributions, which speak enough for themselves, and the fact that he links the play between the other 2 attackers perfectly, and he bridges that gap between midfield as well. He's able to do that kind of false 9 role that we don't see very often. So it's a very unique position. Not many players can do it. And I think his decisiveness is a little bit irrepresentative of how effective he can be in matches consistently. but at the same time, goals are goals, assists are assists, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. So, yeah, I would give him a 7.5 to an 8.
He's the best in the shot per match, 2.8, and in the key passes, he's the best of the team, 2.4. So very creative,
it's very important.
Decisive, very, very important. So, my good player and the captain.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a tough one. I would put a 7. I think it's obviously consistency needs to be happening. He does very well and link up the play and the attack, but I think at times he can disappear. And I feel like at times he has disappeared this season, at times. Keep in mind, a lot of his goals have been from the penalty spot. So if we take that out, he's probably good as the link-up play, but not good as the goal scorer. And he needs to be more consistent on that front, in my opinion. So that's why I gave him a 7.
Oh,
I know that's harsh, but that's why I gave him a 7 instead of anything more. I feel like out of the 3, he's the weak link in a sense of how he produces. Doesn't produce
the weak link. That's the weak.
That's harsh, but I mean, like, in terms of goal scoring.
I can agree with you there. I think if you look at on the other side, Memphis is the weakest in terms of consistency because when Tino and Toko seem to get in front of goal, they don't seem to miss. But again, as a watcher just said, I don't think we can win the league without him. I think if you take Memphis out of that front line and you put, as we saw with them when Dembele comes in, there's not the same harmony or fluidness. It's not the same. I think Shirky in the future could possibly play that sort of central role where everything comes through him. But again, I think it's too early to ask him to do that. And there were a stat about Memphis, as we've talked about his goal contributions. Him and Dubois had created the most chances in Ligue 1 this season. So I think if you think about the way, I think, did you say false 9, Sam?
Yeah.
If he's a false 9 sort of player, that shows the fact
this is a false 9.
With 32 chances he'd created or something this season, which in honesty is ridiculous. It's 2 a game. So for me, I can see why you say
you're
that.
Comparing him to a player like Bobby Firmino.
Bobby Firmino, yes, he's very similar.
Yeah, he's a similar role. And I think we're actually, at one point, we were 1 goal behind the Liverpool front 3. So our KTM front 3 was only 1 goal behind the Liverpool front 3.
But Bobby Firmino,
it was the third best front 3 in Europe we have.
He's a more hardworking player than Memphis.
That's the difference.
He's more an industrial player.
Firmino leads the press.
Memphis is poor defensively. Very poor. But this season it's better. It's better. It's better. His pressing is better.
It's like a rock in a hard place with Memphis. You want him to succeed, but it just doesn't happen on a consistent basis.
Yeah, that's true.
It will be very difficult to replace the Memphis Depay next season if he.
Goriri.
I think it's inevitable at this stage that he leaves, to be honest.
You read my mind.
Mr. Toko Ekambi, Karl Poto Ekambi.
For his dance skills, number 9.
No, I've got the stats. 9 goals is the best scorer of the team, and 4 assists. It's marvelous, just marvelous.
He has the 3rd highest in Ligue 1 this season, I believe. If I'm not mistaken.
I think it's
behind Mbappe and the other player. I can't think of his name.
Delors.
Yes.
Boulaïdia
and
Delors. I think it's above him. No, maybe not.
Either way, I would. For his dance skills, I'll give him a 9. I'll give him his dance skills a 9. But as a player, it'd be definitely a 7.5, 8. I think when he was in the Champions League, obviously, he didn't really get much time during his loan time, quote unquote, and during his time for the to really gel with the other players during the Champions League. But for me, I think since he started Lyon and since he's been on fire, I think he's been doing pretty well. And I think this is the kind of player that we wanted to see. The Carl Toguli that we saw from Angers. I think that's the kind of comparisons I put. And I think he's a very good player. Now, can he do it for the second half of the season? That's the question. But for right now, I'll put it 7.5, 8. His dancing skills is a 9.
And we have two false wingers. Carl Toko Ekambi, Tino Kadewere, they're not wingers. They are forwards.
Yeah.
They're strikers, but they're used as wingers, as false wingers by Rudy Garcia.
He's better than Bertrand Traore. That's all I say.
Yeah,
anything is better than Bertrand Traore.
I think the link to Liverpool's front three is very similar in the way that the teams play. Like the Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane aren't really seen as wingers anymore.
Olympique Lyonnais front three to Liverpool front three.
Yeah, honestly, I would. I think the wide players at Liverpool are so narrow to Firmino.
Okay.
It's a very similar sort of style of playing harmony that they play as, because I wouldn't class Mohamed Salah or Sadio Mane as wingers anymore. I'd class them as forwards.
Okay.
And I think what you see with Tino and Toko is they're both strikers playing out wide in a more narrow system where they get to pick up off the chances that Memphis is creating. And that's led to Toko's got 9 and his Tino got 7.
Tino 7 goals.
So I think to get 16 goals out of two strikers who are playing on the wing, I think it's very similar to what you see in the Premier League with Liverpool. But for me,
it's a good comparison.
If I'm rating Toko this season, as we were saying, Carl Potter
Ekambi, yes.
From the start where he wasn't. From last season, I'd have probably given him a 4 or a 5, but this season I'd go with an 8. I think there seems to be a bit more of a clinical side to when he gets in front of goal. It doesn't seem that he takes 10, 11 touches before he decides what he wants to do with the ball. He'll get the ball at his feet in front of goal, and whether he does hit the post or the keeper saves it seems to go on target, and I think that's why you've seen that. I'd be interested to see what his shot percentage is, but it's resulted in 9 goals. So for me, I'd give him an 8.
2.4 shot per matches.
Yeah, that's impressive.
It's good.
From a wide area as well.
From a wide area, yes.
Yeah, I would be inclined to give him the same. I don't think when we're talking about Akambi and Kadewere that we're talking about the most talented players. But I think as the unit, as a unit, their output is incredible. And I think I like the comparison to Liverpool. And when Liam was comparing them to Salah, Mane, Firmino front three, I don't think we're saying or pretending to say that our front three is as talented as those players individually, but I think the comparison is fair when we're talking about them as a unit, as a strike force together. So I think I've given Memphis an 8. I will give Toko Ekambi an 8 because I think if you take Toko Ekambi out of this front three, he's not the same player. I don't think you see the same output as you do, and I think that's the same for Tino Kadewere as well. But yeah. Toko Ekambi for me is 8, just for all the reasons everyone else has said.
I agree with you. For me, it's the impact player of the team, Carl Toko Ekambi. And he was very criticized. He was very criticized, even in the final 8. But now, it's like Rudy Garcia. So much criticized by the past, but now he's respected. Yeah. It's the same for Toko Ekambi.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's good.
I like the sacrifices that each player makes.
Yeah.
And we end with Tino Kadewere. Big surprise. Big surprise. He came from Ligue 2. He was the best striker of Ligue 2.
Le Havre.
Le Havre.
Yeah.
Le Havre. Yes. Le Havre.
I think for Tino, I was excited when he came in because I was one of those people who watched a few highlight reels from his time in Sweden and in Ligue 2. Ligue 2. So I think looking at his style,
you watched the Ligue 2? Seriously?
I've watched highlights.
Highlights of the Ligue 2?
I'm not going to say that I'm an average watcher of Ligue 2, but so from seeing what he could offer, I was excited because is he 24? He's at that stage.
24.
He's at that stage where he's going to start to move into his prime, maybe his peak. And if he's got the system, which he seems to do at Lyon with Memphis and Carl Toko-Ekambi on the left-hand side, there seems to be a symphony with that front three unit. I think he can improve because this is his first season in a top 5 league. And from what we've seen, the goals he scored,
7 assists
against Paris.
Against Paris, against Saint-Etienne, against Nice.
Nice, yeah, exactly.
Nice.
So
against Nantes.
He scored in the bigger games. He seems to be a big game player, is what I like about him. And because the fact, if you take away his 2 goals against Saint-Etienne and his goal against Paris, we wouldn't be where we are now. So
agree with Lyon.
The numbers he's given aren't as good as what? How many assists did you say he's got?
How
many assists has he got?
3 assists.
3. So the same as Memphis, less than Toko.
I think yes, 8 goals and 4 assists for Memphis. It's 7 and 3 for Tino. Carl 9 and 4.
So I think he's got the least, but I think his contribution has been the most important. So because of that, I'd give him. I'll go 8.5, just because of what he's offered in big games.
George,
for me, it would have to be an 8. Famba Tino. I'll admit, on a side note, his fan base from Zimbabwe are just amazing people to talk to on Twitter. It's just the amount of passion they have for him is amazing. I think he's definitely a hard worker. You can definitely tell he values hard work, and he tries to make good defensive plays while also going on the attack. For me, he would be an 8.5. He's definitely that kind of hard worker that we needed. Definitely a gem. For the last player that Florent Maurice got for us, it was pretty much a very good diamond and a good diamond that we found. I just love the guy. His mentality, anything about him is just always good, very positive. And it's someone that we would have never thought of before. And I really like the fact that his work rate has been phenomenal, and he's been doing a very good job. And he knows the language. He understands the front three. He has a good vibes, and I just like everything about him from there. So 8.5 for me, close to a 9.
Don't forget that the beginning of the season was tragical for him because he lost his brother.
Prince Callaway,
and the fact
that was a really nice touch in the final where they got the flags and the t-shirts out. That was a really nice touch.
I think he probably heard he saw that and he was like, what, I'm in a great club that takes care of me, and it's great to see that kind of camaraderie.
He's got a friendly spirit. I love this man because of this spirit.
Yeah,
he smells positivity. In the team, he's very calm, very smart, hardworking player. He defends as a master. He attacks as a master. Very, very, very good player. Impressive. And I want him to stay as long as possible in the club because we have to have this sort of player in the team with this mentality. Very positive. I love him. Wow. So we rate all the players and the subs.
Now it's the coach.
We can't rate Rudy Garcia. Rudy
That's a whole nother discussion.
Garcia. George.
Before Strasbourg, it would be a 4 and a 3.
Okay.
Anything after Strasbourg, I think he's been a 7 or an 8. I think for some reason he got something clicking and he's kept it consistent. So that's why I break it down.
Okay. Mr. Sam?
I think I would still give him a 7, a generous 7, because I think a lot of I kind of find that he's putting the best players on the pitch, so we give him ticks for that. He gets a tick for, I guess, for managing the matches well. I like the way he's managing the matches and the rotation. I'm hesitant to give him heaps of props for our current form, because I find that, if you were to take out Paqueta from this makeup, I think you don't see the same results as we are. So, he puts him on the field, but in terms of the style of play, I think, if we were to go back and see this team with Jeffrey and Adelaide or something else, I don't think his tactical implementation has really necessarily dictated the way we are playing, but I think he's got the right people for the style he wants to play, and I think he gets, he deserves credit for the players he's getting on the pitch and the way he's managing them. I would like him to have managed the young people a little bit better, but at the same time, I don't think all of them have taken their opportunities as well as they needed to, in a season where opportunities come at, they're quite rare. So, but I give him, he's better than, it's a definite improvement. So I give him a 6.5, I think.
6.5. Okay, Sam, Lion.
I think I saw something on Twitter that because at the end of last season, Rudy Garcia was rated as the 7th best coach in Europe after getting Lyon to the final 4 of the Champions League, which at the time I couldn't agree with. When he first came in, I was disappointed. I wasn't on board with it. But as you've said earlier, he's become more respected. He's got the team playing nice football. As Sam said, are fun to watch again. We're not expecting a 94th minute mistake from one of his defenders. There seems to be a discipline that's been instilled in the team, and the players have finally started to adopt into a way of playing. The discipline thing, I don't mean in terms of red cards. I know we've got a couple of red cards.
It's the professionalism.
The professionalism, that's what I mean. They seem they're all willing to listen to him. He seems to have sort of I don't know, to link it to, have you seen Money Heist, the Netflix show?
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of The Professor a little bit. Everyone's got the people seem to like him. But again, the start of the season wasn't great. The management of young players hasn't been well dealt with. I don't like the way they've dealt with the Jean Lucas situation. I think it feels a bit.
I think it's not the best at training. It's not the best. Yes, it's not the best.
He's not. I don't think he's been given an opportunity. That's the problem. It seems we had him for 18 months now.
Yeah,
and he's played 500 minutes in a Lyon shirt.
He's scored how many goals?
4
I think for John Lucas, it's a question of mentality. I think he's not very professional. He is in Brazil, and now he's in Brazil.
Yeah, he's gone back. He's in Rio. He's going to Rio with his family to talk to his agent, and I think the 2 clubs that are interested is Brest and Bordeaux.
Yeah, for a loan in Bordeaux, Brest or Dijon.
So the second half of the season, I think he'll come back. But yeah, going back to Rudy, because of, as Sam said, opportunities have been finite this season. Not a lot of players have been, the young players anyway. Sonali's been given some minutes, Diamonde, and then Shirky's minutes have been from the bench. But I feel like with the academy we've got, and you've seen with the players that have come through in the past, it's still important to integrate the young players with like important minutes. So 13 minutes off the bench when the game's 1-3-0, it doesn't seem like he's got a lot of trust in younger players. I think he trusts Diamonde. Other than that, I don't think he's got a lot of trust in the younger players.
I think he trusts in young players. He started Ryan Cherki.
Yeah, a couple of times.
I think Maxence Cacré.
Yeah,
Bruno Genesio. Yeah. Maxence Cacré. Guiri did play with Rudy Garcia, but I don't think he don't trust in young players. I think it's a question of mentality. If you have good mentality, you work hard at training with Rudy Garcia, so you have the chance, the luck to begin a match or to be a senior match. Look at Yaya Soumaré.
Yeah,
he played his first game, his first professional game against North.
Yeah. It's for me. It's also going like with Cacré when he first came through, especially in the final eight. I thought in a couple of years' time, as we saw with Toussaint leaving for Hertha Berlin and Ndombele to Spurs, I thought you could have seen if he continued the development in the way he was going, because his stock was very high in that final eight with everyone watching him. I thought you could have seen fees of 40, 50 million euros in 2 or 3 years' time. But I know Paqueta hasn't helped that. But again, I think his minutes have been short in the recent games. I don't think he's played a lot.
No, Cacré is not the best of our midfielders. He's not the best. Definitely is not the best.
I think he's the best presser.
He's best?
I think he offers the most at pressing.
Of pressing? Of presser?
A presser, winning the ball back in high areas.
Okay.
I think that's the key to his game. And I think it were a couple of weeks ago, he was linked to Barcelona for 30 million euros. But again, I don't really see you going to be able to get the best out of him in the way the midfield's being used at the moment, because if one of them comes off, it's more likely to be for Bruno. And next season, we're going back down to 3 substitutes. So there's not going to be 5 changes in a game. So again, I just think the first team squad all seem to be around. I think is Aouar the youngest starter, 22.
22, yeah.
And he's a senior player. That is not considered a youngster. He's been in the first team squad for ages. So
22.
I don't. What did you say? Sorry.
Oussama Aouar, 22.
Yeah, 22. So again, I feel like there needs to be a bit more of a trust to give players like Shirky a chance, because wasn't Aouar 17 when he came through, made his debut against AC Alkmaar?
No, 18, I think.
18. Yeah. But again, as we saw, he came through, and now he's linked with 50 million euro moves to Arsenal. He's arguably he's been nominated for UEFA Team of the Year. It's like giving these young players the opportunity, like Flo de Silva that's coming through. I'm excited to see him come through.
I want to end this live with your opinion about 2 players, Ryan Cherki and Mateo.
What are our opinions?
Ryan Cherki, your opinion on Ryan Cherki.
For me, I mean, I'm a massive player of Football Manager. I don't know if that's a thing in France. It's massive in England. And he's on that. I got so excited when he was on the game. He won the Ballon d'Or in a Lyon save for me in 2024. So if you think that's 4 years away, So, and Football Manager don't usually get it wrong. They've got a couple of wrong ones, but so for me, I've got a lot of promise about Shirky, I must admit. I think there's some sides to his game where I think his decision making needs improving. When he gets into a goal scoring opportunity, sometimes he takes a touch or he tries to beat a player.
He's very caricatural, very individualist.
It seems
individualist.
It reminds
like
me
the
of
Lorient game, like against Nantes. Wow, it's good. He dribbles past opponent.
Yeah.
Wow,
I mean, his dribbles are up there. His dribbles are very impressive. I think
it's impressive, but
it's about 5 dribbles a game.
It's professional level. It's not the soccer with your friends.
Yeah. He needs to learn to become a team player.
I'm disappointed. Disappointed of his mentality. I think
the ability's there. I do think the ability.
He's a rising star, but he's very young. He earned a lot of money. I think it's 130.
130,000 euros a month.
Exactly.
Oh wow.
For a 70-old
That's
player.
what you pay to keep the young players, because I tell you now, if we didn't sign Shirky to a contract, Manchester City would have been trying to sign him. Liverpool, Bayern Munich, Juventus would have all been there trying to sign him. That's how highly he is regarded in Europe.
So, Cherki, Sam, your opinion of Cherki?
I tend to agree. I don't think he's been as good as I think it depends on how you want to look at it. He's a very, very young player, so I think there's a lot of hype around him that works for and against him in a way. So I think our expectations of him are probably too high. I guess I appreciate the time he gets, but at the same time, I don't think he's offered anything really substantial. I get the criticism, like it's great to see him on highlights, dribbling a bunch of players, but then when you see him miss a goal he should have been scoring, I can't remember which one it was, when he got red carded. He needs to put that goal away. I think that was the moment where I kind of thought he's just not ready. So, I mean, it's great. We know Coupe de France is coming up, so it's a good opportunity to see him again. But I think he can't complain about the minutes he's getting. I think he's getting. I think he's going to get more now that Moussa Dembele is injured. But up until then, I think he's getting the minutes he deserves. Probably 2 more minutes than he deserves. But it is what it is. I think we can't really say too much more about him. I don't think there's anything really to. I think criticizing him is too hard because he's only 17. I think overpraising him, overhyping him is also works in a negative because it raises expectations above where they should be. So, So I think the criticism's deserved. It is what it is, but I don't think we need to worry too much about him. I think he's going to be a great player in the future. He just needs the right people around him, the right team mentality. I think the way the team is moving, the momentum that we're taking, I think is going to benefit him. It's just whether he can keep a level head and maybe work a little bit harder during the match. And I think that'll come. I hope it comes because we need it to. It's a big investment. So.
Okay. And to end this live, 2 hours of live. Wow. Your opinion about Mattia De Seglio?
I don't know. It's for me personally. He hasn't really. He hasn't played very much for me to give him an opinion. I think he's just right now average. I don't see him playing that often, but obviously when he does play, he plays okay. For me personally, back to the Ryan Shirky thing, I think when he complains he doesn't start, when he gets to start and doesn't play well, it kind of it's a double-edged sword. like if you complain you're not getting minutes, but the coach gives you minutes and you can't perform it, then your words are falling flat. But for DeShilio, for me, I don't see enough of him because obviously he doesn't play very often, even if he's on loan from Juventus. But for me, I don't know much about him. His play, I think obviously he's a little bit better than Dubois, maybe if compared to Dubois, but you don't see much about him, so I can't really say much anything about him. He's just very neutral for me.
Okay,
I think if I had to say anything about DeShilio, going back to him at Juventus, he's never really been given a designated position. He's played centre-back in a 3, he's played right-back, and he's played left-back. So he's played 3 different positions. So I think that's been a strategy that OL have looked at and thought, well, we've got a player who can cover for 3 areas of the pitch. And he's played to a good enough standard, like he's played in Champions League semis and quarterfinals with Juventus, and he's won God knows how many Serie A's with Juventus. But I don't see why going long term it made sense to sign him, because he's 28, so you've got to think, do you extend the loan or buy him permanently? There's not much sense in doing that. Has he started many games? 2 maybe?
Once, one match, I think.
I think it's once.
I think it's 1, yeah. 1 in
So
the
he
left
started
side.
1 game.
And then he was off the bench several times, but for like 10
he
minutes.
does come off the bench quite often, whether it's left or right hand side. But
two starts in the
2 starts. I thought it was.
Yeah.
But again,
2
if you look at the wages as well, like he's at Juventus.
Is the second biggest wage in the club.
Yeah, not for me. No, not.
I agree with Lyon.
He don't justify that. If you could, I'd end the loan early.
Sam?
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on him. He's a lone player, so I don't really care too much about him.
And the Juventus fans don't really care for him either. So it's like
That's what I mean. He's unwanted wherever he goes. I don't see any OL fans really praising him or saying, "I'm really happy with signing DeShilio."
I think he offers some experience and backup, but at the same time, it's like, how important is that in our current circumstance?
Exactly.
And I guess we sold Marcel. I think the benefit of selling Marcel now when we recruit DeShilio is really it only frees up that extra community space to bring in someone from Brazil. But apart from that, I would have preferred keep Marcel, because even though Marcel has dire mistakes, I actually appreciate his volume apart from the mistakes. So I think, but at the same time, it's much of a muchness. I don't really care too much, but yeah, he does his job. He's not great. He's not poor, but I agree with Liam. It doesn't really make much sense in our circumstance for me.
You would have to take a wage cut. I don't think you would do it.
You said, George? Yes.
I was just going to say, I lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought. Go to the next one. I completely got a brain fart.
So it's the end of this 2 hours with you. It was very enjoyable. I'm very happy.
You can tell we don't get to talk about OL very much.
Yeah, I know. This is the first 2 hour conversation I've ever had about Lyon.
I think it's the first time I've talked to anyone face to face about OL.
You know each other, George, Samuel,
in bits, like
me
and George,
and I
on Twitter, and we've all interacted on Twitter.
Okay, it's good.
Sam usually has his podcast.
We've
got a podcast. Lyon Offside.
Yep. Yeah. With Rabita. I've got their Twitter handles, but yeah.
Okay.
It's in my bio, I think, so you can go check us out.
Okay. Lyon Offside. Very good.
LyonOffside.com.
For speaking people, it's very, very good. I was very pleased and happy to have you guys in this show. So sorry, my
It's been a
bad
pleasure.
English, but it was
No,
very,
it's fine.
very, very good. Thank
I'd
you
like
very
to
much, guys.
apologise for my internet connection as well.
It's good
Very
training.
good, guys. Thank you very much, and
Cheers.
we keep in touch. Goodbye,
Yeah.
guys.
Yep.
See you soon.
No worries.
Bye.
Au revoir.